I'm going to start all the way at the bottom. Okay, all the way at the bottom and work my way up. All the way at the bottom, and I hate to say it, but I think Mississippi State's just plain awful. This is a team that last season really struggled top to bottom. The question about the head coaching, is it the guy? Is he not the guy? The ghost of the pirate is still out there. I think this is a situation where State's just not going to be able to haul the mail, and I think they're just going to be plain awful this year. In my next tier up, I've got my dog water. These are teams that will surprise some people randomly, but they're still going to struggle, and they're not going to be that very good. In fact, most of the conferences in my dog water tier this year. Oklahoma, obviously having their own struggles last year. I know they got a new OC. I know they got some things going on. They got some pretty hyped up recruits coming in, but I'm not sold until I see something on the field. So Oklahoma's down there. Auburn. Oh, Hugh Freeze. We had such high hopes, and it just has not materialized at this point. I think that they're also in that dog water tier. Vanderbilt, I also have down there. Diego Pavia is a fantastic player. Don't get me wrong, but his mouth was writing some checks, and it's going to be interesting to see if they can cash them come the next couple of weeks. So we'll see. Missouri, Kentucky, and Arkansas kind of round out that category for me. This is three teams that on any given Saturday they can probably surprise one of the top contenders in the league. But I just don't, and I hate that because I want Kentucky to be good, because it's good for Tennessee. I want Arkansas to be good because we're big fans of Sam Pittman here on the podcast. Missouri could lose every game, and I'd probably smile. So I think I've gone on record multiple times explaining what my feelings about Drinkowitz are. I don't think I've made any kind of. I've not been very opaque about that. So just, that's kind of where I'm at as far as dog water. Midland, these are the teams that are kind of in the middle. They could have a really good season or they could have a really bad season. It just kind of depends on which way things break. I've got Florida down in this category. Again, a lot of question marks at Florida. They came on the second half of last season, but the beginning of the season was a little bit rough for them. It's going to be interesting to see what they've got. LSU I've also got down there, Carolina and Texas A&M. I really went back and forth on Carolina and A&M and maybe moving them up to that next tier due to the success that those two teams had at the tail end of last season. Is in particular Carolina. A&M had their struggles like we've discussed, and Jesse's a big fan of A&M, so we'll come back to that. But I think Carolina could surprise some people. They could move up into that tier if they get things to bounce their way a little bit. My next tier up's contenders, not to be a homer, but my Vols are sitting in that contender tier. I know that y'all have your disagreements about that. We'll discuss. I think Tennessee has a lot of question marks on offense, especially at the quarterback position. I think the run game is going to be just as effective as it was last season. I think the wide receiver core is another question mark where we're going to have to see what happens with UT. Defense, I think, is going to be pretty stout. And that's the reason why I put Tennessee in that contender tier, because the defense is returning, I think, 8 or 9 of their starters, so they're not having to get rid of a lot of guys. I also put Bama in that tier. I know that we joke about the coaching change and how old St. Nick's not there anymore. But there's questions about which way that could go. But it's Alabama football. They've still got the Jimmies and Joes. I think they're going to be okay. Ole Miss, obviously, with Lane Kiffin, there are question marks in both sides of the ball for Ole Miss this season, so it's going to be interesting to see what that's going to have. But those are kind of the three teams I've got in the contender tier. I think those three could contend for or win the SEC if certain things break certain ways. And based on scheduling and a couple other odds and ends, those are the three I've got. And then my favorites, who I think are going to be in the SEC championship come December, played at Mercedes-Benz, is the University of Georgia and Texas again. I think we're going to get a rematch of what we saw last season. I'm not sure who's going to come out on top of that game. We'll know a lot more after Texas plays this weekend, and we'll know a lot more in 3 weeks when Georgia plays Tennessee. So we'll see where we're at. So that's kind of where everybody shook out for me.
If that were to happen, that would be the 4th time in 2 years that those teams would play each other.
Yeah.
Because they're coming to Athens this year.
Must be nice. We play Georgia every year. So. And Bama every year. So,
right.
I mean, it's nice that somebody else gets to play the Blue Bloods.